Well, I just, trying to get guys to, just understand about, playing together and, working hard and, the guys that started, I thought did a good job for us. I thought we didn't get off to a good start the other night, didn't get off to a good start in the second half, especially when we're up 6. That really was a big part of the game, and I thought those guys did a good job at starting tonight. But you're always, as a coach, trying to, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, push some buttons and get some guys right, whether that means a guy's starting now or a guy's coming off the bench. And at times you don't know if it's going to work or not, but you knew what happened before it didn't work. So with all that being said, I thought the guy that came off the bench tonight for us has come off the bench in every game, Jacob Lawson, really got us going and gave us energy. So that was good to see from him, and he's been practicing really good. And the guys I really want to get more minutes are all in the same spots. So, but that's a good thing to have. People always say you can never have enough good big guys. And I think we got some guys that are developing and getting better, but I do think our effort was better tonight.
Matt, Sunday kind of smiled. Last game, I know you were disappointed in a lot of different things, but the rebounding was 36-33, and tonight at the half it was 24-7, and the guys said that you would, there had been some word, definitely some messages talked about with rebounding.
Mm-hmm.
But you think your guys did a much better job of that tonight?
Well, sure. Anytime you go from getting out-rebounded to out-rebounding your opponent by 28, it's definitely a good sign. And I think our guys are starting to realize, we get into drills and practice, and then it doesn't translate to the game. Especially in our situation, it's not going to stay the same the whole year where they get even minutes. There's going to be a game, like if this was a closer game, Jacob Lawson would have played more. He earned it. He was, he made a difference with his energy and his hustle and his offensive rebounding in that first half. So it was one of those things where trying to get those guys in those drills to go hard and rebound, you watch it and you're like, hey, we should be a better rebounding team. Then you go to games or scrimmages or what have you, and you don't see it. So I thought tonight they finally were more physical. I thought Sonny did a great job. I thought he was really physical. He posted up a couple times strong. He went after rebounds, even the ones he didn't get. I thought he gave a great effort.
Matt, Jacob Lawson, last year obviously he kind of fell off the playing rotation a little bit. Was that a matter of him having to learn what he's doing now? Playing with more energy, playing harder?
Yeah, he's done a better job defensively. And he's playing with a lot more energy, and he's rebounding the basketball better. And he's done a good job on the trip to Italy, rebounding offensively, and he struggled. And he hasn't done as good a job defensive rebound, I should say. You kind of see that tonight. He has 3 offense and 0 defense. We got to get him to rebound on the defensive end. But I think just being more familiar with what's going on. And then we had to play to the strengths last year, kind of that midway point for us. We had to play more to our strengths, to our best players. Coach. And just trying to get the skilled guys in those spots and cause matchup problems. My thought.
Coach, what is the number one thing that you take away from this win?
Just our effort was better in the rebounding. I think that is something that if you can rebound the basketball and take care of the basketball, you're going to give yourself a chance. Tonight we didn't take care of the basketball. So that's something we definitely have to improve on. And I wish it was just the big guys or something, but we had guys that can take care of the basketball and have experience and didn't do that tonight. So those 2 areas are very important. If you can dominate those areas or even win those areas. Whenever we've won the rebounding battle or won the turnover battle in the same game since I've been the coach here, we've won every single game except 1. So it speaks volumes to how important it is.
Coach, you talked after the game against Bucknell about rushing some shots, especially late in the game. You feel like you're a little more patient on offense today, especially in the half court?
A little bit, but it's also a different team and a different style. So it's not, we talked about being patient and not shooting. Other night we had about half of our possessions, either no passes, 1 pass, or 2 passes. And we're screaming, be patient, be patient. And obviously they weren't patient. So tonight, the first play, we passed 1 time and we shoot a contested shot. So it just shows you what you're dealing with. So you try your best. You want them to be confident. You want them to do some things. I think the best way to put it is taking a shot that you can make in rhythm. And I've always tried to push the basketball and get guys to understand about pushing the ball and getting the early one before the defense gets set and get in rhythm. And what's a good shot for one guy might not be a good shot for another guy. And those things take some time. And I thought it cost us the game against Bucknell. So hopefully, we can learn that hard lesson so it doesn't happen again. But I still want them to be confident. It's a hard thing.
Coach, talk about your point guard position, because you got two guys and they're really different. And they bring different stats to the box score, and just talk about both of them and how you like both of them and what
Right.
both of them need to improve on.
Well, I think Anthony has done a good job of finding people. He's done some things in the games that he hasn't done a lot in practices, and I think he's starting to understand. The more he finds people, the more it's going to help him and open up avenues for him to drive, because I still want him to score. In my opinion, he's a combo guard, he's a lead guard. I wouldn't say he's a quintessential point guard just because by nature he's wired to score the basketball. Ronnie is more of a point guard. Now, he will score the ball too. Ronnie has to learn when it's there and when it's not there. And understand the flow of a game too. I don't think he understands the flow of a game. He wants a fast-paced game at all times, and that's not the way the game's going to be played. It will at times, but other times it's going to be more of a half-court game. And he's got to learn to pick his spots when it's there, when it's not there. And I think it'll come in time. He's very, very confident. You can't tell. So you don't want to take that away from a guy that has the ball in his hands, who can make good decisions. So he's got to learn that the one-handed wraparounds, just 7-footers on the move, probably need to go on the shelf for a while. Yeah.
Matt, this is coming up, always an exciting week in college basketball. It's signing week, and I know you can't talk about anybody specifically, but generically, the recruiting's kind of like, I guess, professional teams look at a draft. Because if you take the best athlete, you look for need. You've lost some shooters in the last few. Just if you could, as you were looking towards this year, generically, I know you can't talk about the. What were you looking for with this class that you will sign on Wednesday?
Well, anytime you look at a class, you look first and foremost at what you lose. We lose DJ Bird and Drew Anthrop, in that mix. We also, if you want to look back a year, we lose a point guard, even though we're physically not losing a point guard. We did the year before. It wasn't planned. So anytime you look in advance, you have a point, you have like a combo, and then you have kind of a swing 2, 3, 4 with Bird, and so you just try to kind of fill those same needs. Technically speaking, the one thing that you do, and you don't want to put yourself in this position as a coach, you always throw in the caveat that I'm still going to take a really good player. I'm not going to get locked into saying I'm taking a point, I'm taking a 2, I'm taking a 3. Because George McGinnis becomes available, I think you take George McGinnis, and I think that makes a lot of sense. So as a coach, you got to be careful. Sometimes you don't want to paint yourself into a corner, and at times I'm going to take the best guys I can get, and we'll figure it out later. But traditionally speaking, you try to fill those voids with people that are similar to the ones you lost.
Matt, going back to Lawson, obviously he's experienced now. It seems like he's playing harder, but does he also kind of look a little faster, a little quicker? When he came in last year, he was still coming off that surgery.
Yeah, I think last year was more of a condition to me. I didn't think he never got in great shape. Even though there's one thing to embrace conditioning, there's another thing to get through it. Conditioning is kind of like biology class. You just keep looking at the clock. When is this getting over? When you realize there's no matter what you do and how you approach it, it's still going to happen. So you might as well embrace it, have a good attitude, and go after it. He was winning sprints this year instead of surviving. He's playing with energy. He can move his feet. He can defend different people. He knows what's going on, especially on the defensive end. He's done a better job, and then that's where it's I think is really going to help us. We got to get him to rebound on the defensive end. As a coach, you never think somebody's arrived, and so if he can go get the basketball on both ends, that really is going to help us.
Thank you.
Thanks.